Hello and welcome to Between Two Electrodes, an educational series for energy professionals. I'm your host, Jennifer Alfson, Product Marketing Manager at Fluence. In each series, I'll interview subject matter experts on interesting industry topics. In this series, we're going to focus on energy security in Europe. I'm joined today by Lars Stephan, Senior Manager of Policy and Market Development at Fluence, and our special guest is Gerard Reid, co-founder of Alexa Capital and co-host of Redefining Energy podcast. Well, thank you for joining us. Let's jump into our topic at hand. Looking to the future, what needs to happen in the next few years in order to achieve Europe's 2030 decarbonization goals? And we'll start with you, Gerard.
Well, the first thing we need to do is move from goals to plans, because the EU and all the governments across Europe are great at putting down goals, but we need plans. We need really a strategy in terms of how we're going to hit the 2030 goals. And just to put it into perspective, we probably need about €1 trillion worth of investment between now and then. And the question is, what are the regulatory frameworks that will enable that money to flow at a lower cost as possible? That's the critical question. The concern I have is that those regulatory environments are not in place. And if I really look at sort of the last 6 to 9 months in the terms of what was going on across Europe, what we saw was different countries coming up with different measures and incredible amounts of interventions in the market. You know, for example, you what you're doing is bailing out the ones that strategically made mistakes. You're penalizing the ones that have made strategically the good decisions. So guess what that means from a finance perspective is risk has just gone up. And people are looking at the market and saying, oh my God, am I really going to put money to work in this area when I don't really know what's going to happen? So I think we really need to have a serious look at the regulatory frameworks to make this transition happen. And if we don't do that, I'd be concerned that we will make it very, very expensive. And if we make it very expensive, we're going to have resistance from customers, starting with industrial customers that going right through to retail.
Yeah. And Lars, what's your perspective from the industry and policy side?
Yeah. So I think especially on the policy side, I have to say, I mean, this last year had been amazing because so much things happened really quickly, which typically you would never see. So I think there was a lot of pressure on the system. And I guess we can disagree if we always found the right decisions, but at least something happened. But really now the question is to implement it. But I think we can recognize that a lot has happened. Industry players have worked a lot, like ourselves. Gerard, you probably had a lot to do refinancing portfolios, I imagine. So a lot have been done, and I think we should recognize that. I think on the other side, I would absolutely agree. We need to get faster from legislation to implementation. We are still today implementing things from a legislative package that started 2016, and it's not yet implemented in member states. And we need to get much, much faster with these kind of things for sure. And at the same time, I think we need to embrace the complexity. I think the political system so far has given the easy answers, like build more renewables. That is easy. Lower the cost for consumers. That is easy. But how do we get the renewables integrated into the system, right? And there are so many silly, sometimes you think, barriers in our ways, and we need to remove them. And I think we need to get much faster on that. I think on the same side as an industry, clearly we need to better understand as the industry is ramping up, how do we secure our supply chains? How do we get sustainability in our supply chains as well? Because not just Europe wants more storage. The US just had the IRA. They are building storage at scale. So we need to understand how can we make energy storage a critical part of the energy transition and understand it from an industry strategy perspective as well. And finally, I think we need to get better by bringing investment into the sector, creating investment certainty, but also growing developers and people who actually develop projects. I mean, that's not just energy storage. It's also wind, it's solar. I mean, we starved off these kind of industries, and now we ask them to deliver double gigawatt amounts per year per country. That is a bit of a disconnect there. So I think we have still a lot ahead of us. But I think when we look back at 2030, we will see that 2022 has been an inflection point that brought the industry forward and accelerated the energy transition. That's at least what I'll hope we will see when we look back in 2030.
Thank you, Lars and Gerard, for taking the time to share your expertise with us. If you enjoyed this video on energy security, please check out the full series on the Fluence blog for more in-depth information. There are additional videos, and the blog has some more context. Please like and share with your colleagues to help us share the knowledge, and you can also subscribe so you don't miss other upcoming series on Between Two Electrodes. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.